I smoked Lucky's truck, filterless. He was a sweetheart. He died about a year and a half ago. It's weird when people like that die you've known forever and they're just gone. It's just sick. Henry Kissinger just keeps on going like a evil wind-up ghoul, some kind of vampiric zombo. An old wart-covered white zombie. Bilderberg confab to discuss Iran solution. Kurt Nemos writing on that. Bilderberg 2015, police harass reporters, search vehicle, visit hotel. We're going to play that video coming up. Bilderberg backs Hillary for 2016 presidency. I remember calling Fox, calling CNN, because that was a story there just to show they wouldn't report going, hey, I saw the Secret Service drive in a motorcade of 10 black SUVs. We've got sources inside. It's Hillary Clinton and Obama. The media for a day was saying, where are they in Virginia? They just disappeared. Had their cars at high speed, you know, running away from the media. Do you want to know? And they'd say, no, click. But I guess who did show up? The Washington Times and the Epoch Times. And then Drudge linked to the Epoch Times. No one, people ask, why is Drudge so popular? Because he'll link to important stuff that's alternative media and end up being proven right, just like we do. The mainstream media is dying because people know they're a bunch of Decepticons. I was watching, is it CBS or NBC that Stephanopoulos hosts the morning show on? ABC, I don't even know anymore. Yeah, it's ABC, that's right. I was going to be on a stupid show. And then they didn't. Then they claimed I didn't show up. But I was on the elliptical this morning at the gym, and they had TVs on, and I was watching them. And the fakeness of the reporters, the fakeness of the women, and the way they were looking at the camera, and just all of it was like predators, like wolves stalking prey. I mean, these people are so bad. They're so fake. They're not authentic. I'm just an American, a Texan, a person that loves freedom, really getting freaked out by the usurpation of my basic freedom. Here is George Stephanopoulos.
Now I want to address some news you may have seen about me. Over the last several years, I've made substantial donations to dozens of charities, including the Clinton Global Foundation. Those donations were a matter of public record, but I should have made additional disclosures on air when we covered the foundation. And I now believe that directing personal donations to that foundation was a mistake. Even though I made them strictly to support work done to stop the spread of AIDS, help children, and protect the environment in poor countries, I should have gone the extra mile to avoid even the appearance of a conflict. I apologize to all of you for failing to do that.
That is a sickening, fake apology he made a few weeks ago. And the reason I bring it up is the Clinton Foundation, I've been covering it for about 5 years, 6 years. How long ago did the whole earthquake in Haiti happen? 4 or 5 years ago? Yeah, 4 years ago. I've been covering it since then because I just noticed that half the money people gave for little black kids, and the news was promoting it everywhere, was going to their private jets, hotels, and their institution. And then I began to notice that all these politicians and pundits were giving money to it. And then they would get jobs at it later, paid $10,000 a month, $20,000 a month, you name it. So what it is, you give money tax-free, and then it's like a mafia group. And then if you need a job later, it'll give you a job where you put your money in tax-free. So it is pretty sick, ladies and gentlemen. And these are not liberals. These are fascists. And I want to be clear. There are real liberals that are loving, that are caring, that really want equality, who really don't want gays persecuted, who really think it's a woman's right, you know, to have an abortion, who are misguided. And I'm not getting into the whole sexual persuasion thing. I'm saying there are a lot of really good liberals that are good people. Just like there are a lot of good conservatives. But when they get to following the leadership of their parties, they are turned over to pure evil. There's a headline right there. The Clintons had the most wasteful U.S.-funded Haiti projects. Well, they're not designed to help anybody. They're payoffs where you pay your buddy to build a shelter. The shelter cost $10,000 and they get $100,000. It's money laundering. You put your money in the Clinton Foundation, and then it gives money to your company to have some work done and pays you 5 times what it was worth. It's a giant criminal mafia operation. Hillary Clinton gets money from third world dictators to her foundation when she was the head of the State Department, and then would then green light weapons transfers. This was in the news last week, by the billions of dollars to those countries. And then it gets better. See, that's all Bilderberg is. Look at Prince Bernhard. This is how sick he is. He wasn't as rich as his wife, the actual queen of the Netherlands, Queen Beatrix, who just stepped down to make her son king 2 years ago and attends every Bilderberg. I've shot video personally twice of her going in, just to get a flavor of this. And he had mistresses all over Europe. I mean, this was big Lockheed Martin scandals and payoffs to U.S. defense contractors, you name it. But he was so greedy for money, he founded the World Wildlife Fund. And, of course, sued the Wrestling Federation, take that name away. He founded it to run clandestine operations all over Africa. That later came out in the news. But then would also run the poaching operations to make sometimes tens of millions of dollars a month to him, using WWF as the front to do the hunting. You can't make up how villainous these people are. You can look that up. And he was diverting the tens of millions just to mistresses in Paris and other areas. I mean, the highest end ones. He just paid for his women because his wife wouldn't give him enough money. He's related to Prince Charles. He's good buddies. He died with Prince Philip. That's Prince Charles's dad. The guy that says he wants to come back as a virus to kill 80% of the world population. You can look that up. He told AP, Audubon Society that, and a bunch. He's quoted 4 times saying it in magazines to the reporters to call humanity. See, the British royalty is German royalty because their bloodlines died out about 300 years ago. And then those lines are actually Transylvanian. But the funny thing is, see, he was an SS officer, but then when Hitler started losing, they got the princelings out and had them flip sides over to the Dutch. And it's hilarious, really. It's completely hilarious that when you give money to the World Wildlife Fund, it's a poaching organization set up by an SS officer. I mean, you can't make that stuff up. The Clintons, knowingly for more than a decade, fenced AIDS-tainted blood out of Arkansas state prisons to be sold worldwide, filled with hepatitis and HIV. But it turned out Bayer wanted the blood and would mix it with good blood up in Canada to sell it worldwide as Factor VIII. And it turned out it was an initiative just to kill people. It came out in French court. They knew and said, oh, these people need to die anyway. See, these are villains that showing off around boardrooms. They go, you got tainted blood to kill some people? Yeah, we'll ship it out to you. We're liberal, did you hear? We want to help the children. I love being liberal. Never mind secret groups meeting in the Austrian Alps with 2,000 federal troops. There's nothing going on here. Turn in your guns. Government wants to help you. Take vaccines. Yes, take the shots. Watch the baby convulse. That's what Daddy Lucifer loves. Yes. Issue you want to raise that we've brought up or any other question or comment you have, all I ask is that you have a good, clean telephone and that you not be drunk. 800-259-9231. Here are some of the headlines we haven't really gotten into yet. Obama to circumvent Congress with a gag order on firearm coverage. It's been put in the Federal Register. That's where our edicts come from now. Saying you have to get with the federal government and the State Department on any discussion of guns, period. Not just technical stuff. And the NRA says this is the biggest attack on the First Amendment ever. Remember, they banned Cody Wilson from putting up the design of his 3D printable gun online, even internationally. They claimed omnipresent total power. Continuing update, more school districts report chaos after white privilege theory influences discipline rules. And they go in and hype up racial division and racial fights start and there's problems. Just like 2020, to their credit, did a report back in 1997 about how once they started death education in high schools around the country, suicide tripled. Little girls never thought about suicide. It was mainly little girls, but they would go and strangle themselves with their shoelaces, just as they were taught not to do. The DARE program ended up making kids use drugs because it showed you how to use it, told you about it, where to get it, what it was, created the incentive. It's like if my parents would tell me, whatever you do, don't get in this liquor cabinet and drink the whiskey. First thing I do as soon as they left was go try to drink the whiskey when I was 11. Of course, my parents didn't do that, but other kids that were told not to, they would. My parents would be like, you want to try this? Then I wouldn't want any. But my aunt gave me a plaque. It says, if you want your children to listen to you, whisper quietly to someone else. It's true, you'll talk right to them. Sometimes they ignore you. But if you talk to someone like whispering, they suddenly listen to every word. My kids are pretty good, but the point is that we're not in Kansas anymore. 800-259-9231. And notice it just gets more and more insane by the minute. I'm going to be going over that article more. It's really important. Oh, look at this. World leaders promise at G7 to phase out fossil fuels. Does anyone even believe that? They mean phase it out when you try to use fossil fuels and tax you more. Billionaire owner sees wealth gap fueling social unrest, and then the globalists call for more taxes on the middle class, the very thing that will actually destroy people being able to become wealthy or even upwardly mobile. I mentioned this. Bilderberg backs Hillary for 2016 presidency. Chief Hillary advisor to attend secret confab. The Bilderberg 2015 conference, scheduled for talks taking place this weekend in Austria, will focus at least in part on American elections, according to a press release on the Secret of Cabal's very limited public website. But then the media will come out and say we made that up, even though Bilderberg admits it, which we forced him to do. The factoid appearing along with a list of attendees, one of which is Jim Messina of the Messina Group, who just happens to be chief advisor to Hillary Clinton. Messina also heads up the super PAC Priorities USA, which supported Obama and is now firmly in the Clinton camp. Messina also spearheaded Barack Obama's re-election campaign in 2012 and has just come back to the U.S. after leading a deeply unpopular UK election Minister David Cameron to a surprise majority victory in British elections. Yeah, he's an expert on making sure elections go the way they need them to. And he's been meeting Hillary's chief advisor. I'm sure that's not newsworthy with 2,000 federal troops guarding them. Nothing to see there. I mean, after all, they have American flags behind them on MSNBC. They must care about us. They're also pushing open borders. Bilderberg confab to discuss Iran solution. You can go read their agenda that they admit. That's just the cover agenda, but it's still bad enough. That's just some of the news we have on that front. But people are voting with their dollars, and that's why the globalists are so upset. AP reports McDonald's sales slump continues in May. Sales at locations open at 13 months, edged down another 0.3% last month. That's a plunge in 1 month. McDonald's sales slump. So people just aren't buying the GMO garbage like they used to. I guess there should just be a law to do something about that and try to stop it. Bad news on the Second Amendment front. Yeah, this new Supreme Court's come out. It's blackmailed and totally controlled. They've got whatever is going on in those closets ready to launch. Whatever it's hash type stuff. Supreme Court rejects NRA's challenge to San Francisco gun regulation. Regulation requires anyone who keeps a handgun at home must either store it in a locked container or disable it with a trigger lock. They're saying, yeah, I got to make your gun useless. They agree with that. So a big strike against the Second Amendment. When we come back, your calls and HD video of the police going after our reporters in Austria.
On the march.
Here is a feeding frenzy of globalist corporate interest allied with government that are destroying the free market while blaming it, and who are trying to fund internal sectarian and racial warfare so that we're so busy hating each other, we can't ever get together and try to take back our society. But on Infowars.com, there is a great graphic done by an amazing cartoonist. I'm having trouble reading exactly who did it, but it's up on